Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Whether or Not. Should your car idle during the winter months to keep it warmed up? And what does a meteorite have to do with the Super Bowl? Find that out in our Nature in the News stories. We've also got Mike here in the studio with our forecast and Michael Spagnolo with a feature on weather and THON. So sit back and relax because Whether or Not starts right now. Hello and welcome to Whether or Not. I'm your host, Marissa Lautenbacher.
And I'm your forecaster, Michael Priante.
So Mike, we did have some very interesting weather on Wednesday evening. It's exciting to see even those double rainbows along with the thunderstorms.
Yeah, that was really interesting to see those double rainbows in the sky. I did take the opportunity to take a picture as I was walking from my dorm hall. But we also had those thunderstorms, which are a rarity, especially in Pennsylvania for the month of February. And going into the weekend, though, we're not going to be looking at any thunderstorms for the near future. We have drier and cooler conditions and the potential for some precipitation late in the period on Sunday. But I'll talk about that more in my exclusive forecast coming up.
All right, so instead of feeling more like April, it'll probably start to feel more like February again. But here are our Nature in the News stories.
It turns out that despite their given name, dodo birds may not be so dumb as originally thought. The dodo bird, which went extinct in the 1600s, was seen as an inferior animal due to its susceptibility to invasive species, which were introduced originally by European explorers to the island. After tracking down a well-preserved skull, Eugenia Gold, an instructor in the Department of Anatomical Sciences at Stony Brook, analyzed the specimen using CT scans, along with analyzing a skull from a typical city pigeon. What she found was that its brain had a slightly larger size compared to a modern-day pigeon. Along with the fact that the dodo bird used olfactory senses to detect its food as a ground dweller, it appears that this bird was indeed a pretty smart animal.
In the 1970s, the scientist Edward Lorenz famously asked whether the flapping of a butterfly's wings in Brazil could lead to a tornado in Texas. Recently, a study from the University of Washington asked whether unobserved and small disturbances, such as the flapping of a butterfly, could actually affect forecasts. The chaos theory, or in pop culture commonly known as the butterfly effect, have been highly debated. Fortunately for weather forecasters, they only have to focus on the larger scale disturbances and can ignore the small ones, such as the flapping of a butterfly. The smaller micro-scale phenomenon in the atmosphere, when compared to raging thunderstorms, is often ignored. However, ignoring the small phenomenon can lead to forecasting error, which can be amplified as time progresses in a forecasting model. Having better and more precise current measurements would be also better than taking more measurements in more locations. It isn't necessary to create a dense network of observing sites to measure the atmosphere at smaller scales. Scientists need the ability to improve the observations and analyze the data that they currently get in order to better forecast.
Besides being the day before the Super Bowl, February 6th was a pretty typical day for most people, unless you were a NASA scientist, of course. It turns out that while most people were preparing for the big game, scientists were busy gathering data from a meteor which exploded a few hundred miles off the coast of Brazil. As it exploded over the Atlantic Ocean, it released as much energy as 13,000 tons of TNT. This is slightly less than the amount of energy that was released with the Hiroshima bomb back in World War II. This explosion does not compare to the Chelyabinsk meteor explosion 3 years ago, which injured over 900 people and exploded with energy equivalent to 500,000 tons of TNT. Fortunately, this explosion over the Atlantic Ocean was far enough away from the coast that it did not cause any damage.
Most people during the winter months like to let their cars idle right before they drive in order to warm up. But do cars really need that extra ignition time during the coldest months of the year? Vehicles that were built before 1995 used a carburetor, which combines air and fuel in the engine. With the carburetor, the car had to idle for a few minutes before driving the car. This is so that the engine would be able to work properly. With cars today, it's not the engine that needs to be warmed up, it might be the oil. The oil is essential to the engine, and the president of the Automotive Maintenance and Repair Association suggests that cars should idle for a minute or two before driving in cold weather. He says that this is to allow the oil to move smoothly through the car when temperatures drop below freezing. Experts at Pennzoil have a different theory, that idling the car for a few minutes in the cold just wastes gas. They say that oil in the car can run smoothly when you start driving your car. The EPA agrees with Pennzoil, saying that idling is wasteful for more than 30 seconds compared to driving. Many cities such as Chicago, Boston, Philadelphia, New York, and even Minneapolis have put regulations on how long a car can idle. So unless you have an antique or older car, it's best to just get in the car and get started and go.
Hi, I'm Michael Priante here with your Central Pennsylvania forecast, and as we head into the first half of the weekend, we are going to be starting out dry and cool. And then by the second half, going into the day on Sunday, we will continue the warming trend, and a few rain showers are possible late Sunday into early Monday. But for the start of Friday, here we have a few snow showers that are possible in the northwestern portion of Pennsylvania. Here in State College, we're only looking for a few snow flurries here and there. Otherwise, we mostly cloudy skies. Up in central New York, again, they're going to be expecting some snow showers associated with some lake effect, but high pressure will be in control for much of the day on Friday. And then going into Saturday, the trend continues. High pressure slides just to our south and east, and we're expecting some mostly cloudy skies throughout the entire state. The warming trend does continue into Saturday afternoon, and then by Sunday, the pick of the week, we will be getting into the lower 50s here in the central part of the state. However, a storm system is to our west, and that will be moving to our north and east associated with this warm front here. Some moisture on the back side of it will be moving in Sunday afternoon, Sunday late evening into early Monday morning, and that can be leading to a messy commute if you're rolling out on Monday morning. Looking at your forecast now, the recap, Friday, 30 degrees, partly cloudy skies. Again, it's going to be pretty nice out there. Going into the evening, we drop down well below freezing, 24 degrees. Again, partly cloudy skies is the continuing trend. By Saturday, we warm up just a bit by 10 degrees, partly sunny skies overhead. We continue into Saturday night, 30 degrees, mostly cloudy skies. And then by Sunday, it's the pick of the weekend, 50 degrees. It'll feel really nice out there. A few clouds overhead, but that storm system to our west will be bringing in some rain showers late Sunday into early Monday, but I'll talk about that in my extended coming up. But for now, on a feature on how weather affects Penn State's dance marathon, here's Michael Spagnolo.
THON, the Penn State Dance Marathon, was held this past weekend at the Bryce Jordan Center. While the attention is drawn to the stage and the dancers on the floor, a lot of work goes into preparing for the 46-hour weekend behind the scenes, with nearly all of THON being run by student volunteers. Students from Penn State's Emergency Management Club and Red Cell Analytics Club staffed the Center County Emergency Operations Center, or EOC for short, during THON weekend. An EOC is a command post made to be the center of communications for all emergency personnel in the region. It not only serves to make sure an event runs safely, but has to be ready at all times to manage a disaster. The EOC for Center County is located in the belly of Beaver Stadium, as nearly all of the large events in the region are related to Penn State's main campus. Students were split into two teams, security and weather, in the EOC. While Red Cell took care of monitoring security through cameras, radios, and social media, students from the meteorology department were continuously monitoring the weather.
Weather forecasts are very important to emergency management because most of the hazards that occur within the United States are weather-related hazards. And so it's important that we understand what threats are in our area, what threats could be about to impact our area, so that we can help prepare not just the first responders, but the community to be ready for whatever the threat is. We open the Emergency Operations Center for many events at Penn State. Typically when we have large events, high-profile events, we will open the Emergency Operations Center so that we can monitor not just the weather, but other activities that are going around. We look at social media. We pay attention to traffic flow surrounding the event. If we have something like football where we have a lot of traffic coming in or needing to get out.
The Emergency Management Club is an affiliate of the National Weather Service's Weather Ready Nation and hopes to ensure that campus is ready for severe weather. THON is a very big deal on campus and lots of students devote their entire weekend to the event. Students line up outside and lots travel from the branch campuses to partake in the activities. The forecast for the rest of the Commonwealth is just as important as the forecast for downtown State College.
Yeah, the hazardous weather briefing just contains information on risks and uncertainties with the weather we're expecting, and we fill that out about every 3 hours or so. The people at THON use our information to plan for the weather, and that's not just this weekend. We provide forecasts throughout the semester for canvassing trips and things like that as well.
These weather briefings made by the students have been completed for all of THON's events this year and help to inform the volunteer safety captains so that they could make the right decision about event cancellations and movements. The Penn State Office of Emergency Management has also used weather briefings to help inform OPP and first responders on campus of impending hazardous weather that will be impacting the area. Every outdoor activity on campus has to have a plan, and knowing the forecast ahead of time helps to keep that plan running smoothly. With the winter season wrapping up and spring on the doorstep, Club EM is getting ready for the entourage of outdoor activities that the warm weather will bring. For Weather or Not, I'm Michael Spagnolo.
And now here for your extended forecast, again, repeating what I just mentioned earlier in the forecast through the weekend. 30 degrees for Friday. We have some snow flurries, possible for early in the day on Friday. Clouds will stick around through the day on Saturday. However, temperatures will spike up into the lower 40s going into the day on Sunday. Those clouds start to move out of the area and temperatures will skyrocket near 50 degrees, so it'll feel really nice out there for today on Sunday. Going into the evening, though, we have some rain possible Sunday evening into Monday morning with that storm system that I just showed earlier. And this is the trend going into the start of next week. Monday, again, rain showers possible early in the day. Temperatures in the upper 40s approaching 50. Going into Tuesday, we get down to around average, which is 41 degrees for this time of the year. By the day on Wednesday, that's the wettest part of the week. Temperatures will be in the lower 50s, again with rain expected for that day. Thursday, clouds getting near average for the day on a Friday with some sun peeking through those clouds. And this is the first week of March. In fact, Tuesday is March 1st, which is the first day of meteorological spring, which is not to be confused with astronomical spring, which falls March 20th. And it looks like we have no snowfall in the forecast, so we have an all-time record low for the amount of snowfall that would fall here in State College. And right now, it looks like it is in jeopardy of being destroyed.
Thanks, Mike, for that forecast. I'm actually looking forward to the cooler temperatures start to feel more like February again.
Unfortunately, Marissa, I'm going to have to disagree with you on that. As much as we all love winter, I really want it to end, and I'm looking forward to the spring. Hopefully, Phil's forecast is going to become true.
All right, but here's our weather whiz quiz question. And since records began in 1881, how many tornadoes have occurred in Pennsylvania in the month of February? Is it A, 1, B, 9, C, 14, or D, 21? If you guessed A, you are correct. On February 16th of 1990, there was an EF1 tornado right here in Center County that moved through Boalsburg.
Yeah, and after we had that severe weather outbreak move through Pennsylvania on Wednesday, we are still awaiting the official word from the National Weather Service to see if more tornadoes will be added to that tally.
Yes, that's very exciting. But that's all we have for this week's episode of Weather or Not. I'm your host, Marissa Lautenbacher.
And I'm your forecaster, Michael Priante. Have a great day.